Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Claare Gael vis Gael tyach neshes smiley am Jewish altacha. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert the Carslach.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
And this programme is called Claare Gael, in which you'll hear some of it in the English language, as Angie Nishu Clash and Picadilly Sahilg, and in which you'll hear another part of it in the Manx Gaelic, Chinyanamera, the mother tongue of Ellen Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Bannacht and Jurish, well, after our island tour with Dorothy Wordsworth, I thought we'd look at some poetry this time, and I came across a booklet of verses written by Barbara Cowley of Peel. This was published in, I think, 1965. It contains a poem on the death of Winston Churchill, which was in January 1965. As Liorla Jonathan Harker, Tashin Clash and the Valanolu Van Helsing, Greirish Podden, ons tai rennen Count Dracula Kionach ons Picadilly, Fuddy de be legion regeden de Chorleshad gus Krinakush ons Shell gus Straya Count. We begin with a song in the Scottish Gaelic by a singer and piper who visited the island for the Coosh some years ago, Anna Murray. O co hogusum anodach. Tashu geisjach rish radio vanning, stasiun and ashun. The scholar Scaliena by Dúlish, Ellen Vanning.
Thogas mwy chanirch magut o cogus iawn hadog Shemgan chans nu hoch blion rani gumi I jevriagan Vakken schön oder die Jiahu von Hanjiadia khofatu O cogus iawn hadog gas mwy chanirch magut O cogus iawn hadog Shemgan jans nu hoch sees an hani küsse Adame jeli Spek vaud nam fatten ration kuchet lanan chile vagam O cogus iawn hadog gas mwy chanirch magut O cogus iawn hadog Harde grajung nach Jalingse Venus daut Fetiatzen skusham Hanig farten Vajungra chacharich O cogus iamen hat doch Sie chanirich magut O cogus iamen hat doch Machens yachi azevanya Vechten laat ich in da brokens de salven kromori fantin O cogus iamen hat doch gas mwy chanirch magut O cogus iamen hat doch gas mwy chanirch magut O cogus iawn hadach gas mwy chanirch magut O cogus iawn
singer and piper, also actress Anna Murray from the Isle of Lewis, and the traditional song O thogas dhiomh, who will relieve me of my longing. The booklet I've got here is More Poems of Man by Barbara Cowley. That suggests an earlier collection, which I haven't come across, but I have found other poems in the Peel City Guardian, and I dare say they were probably in the first book, Poems of Man by Barbara Cowley. This one was priced 3 shillings and sixpence, and with illustrations by Pauline Gregor, although the cover illustration, an outline of the island and a Viking longboat superimposed across it, is by Stanley Cowley. The first piece in the collection is an acrostic. Perhaps it is the castle by the sea, enhanced by harbour wall and mossy turf, enriched by hills and mountain streams that blends and lends this place to happiness and joy. In every rock I read your history. Sea-girt and strong, you fought your ancient wars. Lest too much foreign blood might mingle here, effort made man keep home inviolate. On every side your beauty fascinates, from headland proud to hill and sandy shore. Many an exile in a foreign land awaits return to this, his native heath, nor wishes ever leave its peace again. And the first letters of each line spell out Peel, Isle of Man. Fuddies leis a chaunta imidi taien te a chionnige, as Van Helsing. Jousen be bargain and kiaull, acheren as ridden elion. Be peber egge te skriwer. Be een lior egge te chekanon. Ta moeren de goed versoenach on as sainji ve bol enjach, kren ver nach se bol shoh, chwish se vein, chukun. Red te chit as gol eg a chow vilun and chow chulu jay eg de chully oor. Tres a trech 4 woer, genel pecher be de oil taste. Niemets golde sen as ronsig en taishen. As tre tashen fedden macht na bison, esch niemets shent en kare ein ater greirish se gon egge jane shelg, jai soes de toel. As morso tashen bergten a chan shinnach ein. Morso, nu wel? Es liegt un chitje lirach, Jilly tashin jummel tre der as mechin. Heren en allu gleisige. As gedoorteach, as krenach beshin de gaas na stjaakse taishen ons Picadilly. Now recently we've heard tracks from the first and second albums by Welsh band Arlog. This now is from their third album, a Welsh version of the old Carmarthen Oak.
Fe gwrddau senedd ifanc, a'i gwallt yn donau air. Yr enedd ger Caerfyrddin, a'i llais fel llais y ddi. A'r hosau si am enid fach i sgwrsio gyda hi. Y ferch ma'n brethyn cartref tirdi eistedd gyda mi. A dwedai ti'r stori am yr hen dderwen fi. Ar gwr Caerfyrddin edrychodd arnau'n flin. Orffen weld yn codi'n habi bwt o goeden grin. Ond wedais wrth i'r hanes pe gwympau'r goeden hon. Yn ôl yr hen chwedloniaeth a'r dref o dan y don. Y ferch ma'n brethyn cartref tirdi eistedd gyda mi. A dwedai ti'r sori am yr hen dderwen fi. A dyma hi yn chwerthin am gwneud i deimlo'n ffôr. Fod crwts fel fi yn credu hen stori oes a'i nôl. Ond roedd ei llais yn heintus, ei gryddiau hi mor ffron. Fe deimlais i ryw chwythdod a chyffro yn fy mron. Y ferch ma'n brethyn cartref tirdi eistedd gyda mi. A dwedai ti'r stori am yr hen dderwen di. A nawr wyf ar feilwyd am cymar gyda mi, yr eneth gynta gwrddais ger bron y dderwen di. Fy'n deulu sydd yn gyflawn a bywyd sydd yn wyn, a mi godi'n hapun dydd I bwt o goed yn glin. Y ferch mewn brethyn cartref tir di eistedd gyda mi, a dwedai ti'r sori am yr hen dderwen di. Y ferch mewn brethyn cartref tir di eistedd gyda mi, a dwedai ti'r sori am yr hen dderwen di.
Frank Hennessy wrote that song in English about the old Carmarthen oak, Frank Hennessy from Cardiff, and there we heard it in a Welsh version sung by Geraint Glyn Davis with Arlog. Ach, der bi, dilly me, nimmage brishes jack on my visse fe moil. As na mer and sheed, cred be Hudson, as kirid nead grey. Fami courage ass. Ach for vissem de bech I giri de argach de bech or my egg her han. Ma saw doet me, chacune as dot me. Na gin fargach na saja na vis femoil, ta fisset na mi shiger lied a torture vis gin a worm. Ah, ma feitje, shen mor temus, as de jaru chanel yiri em de vishiger an angeshed. Ach, smunnier. Cray fod ma ginu der a bis a clen sail forad. Esh, ni yn tre ein chit de ve on. Tammy a smunion as a smunion as te gian dawd fel an ach sada, an ach sher jaulju. Nish esh, ta shin lal cors na stiach sa tai, ach chanel ocherain. Na vel shen mor te? Remmy snoggle. Nish, abba der awos ons firnius, shellu der a tai shen, as na bodach u fos cors na stiach on. Now, Barbara Cowley wrote proudly of Peel, and after her acrostics spelling out Peel, Isle of Man, the next poem in the collection is called The Chimes of Peel, which, with its reference to church bells, is strongly Christian in its feeling. Each Sabbath morning I can hear the chimes of Peel ring soft and clear, awakening happy thoughts of yore, when, as a child on different shore, the bells came sounding across the sea, and called us forth to worship thee. Foursquare St. German stands alone, an edifice of rugged stone, where bells are rung to cheer each heart, and bid our doubts and fears depart. Come Eastertide, the chimes record the glory of our risen Lord, but most of all I love to hear on moonlight night as so frosty clear, the bells ring forth their Christmas cheer. Sweet bells, through every season long, grant us the solace of your song. And Heavenly Father, keep this land within the hollow of thy hand. Irish traditional music by the trio of Dylan Carlos on fiddle, Kin SWEENEY on flute and John McCARTIN on guitar. They're from Carrick-on-Shannon in County Leitrim, and there'll be more from them later on.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Stasiwn yn asiwn dy radio banning, ys i Claare na Gael fys for Clash and Cartnish, mer yn pyn Robert Gytyn Carswell, Robert y Carslach.
Ever heard tell of owl Bobby Bob?
Chymys cair de eistach rys y Claare shoh rys rys siacht yn lwg gi gul sgelia mach yn chydceart, da podcast genius fys for gedden nasty ag inedeg radio banning, na trwyd cairder yn podcast elia, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, tune in as Alexa. And this booklet of Barbara Cowley's poetry has a dedication for my family and Manx people everywhere. And in an acknowledgement she says, I wish to express my thanks and appreciation to Mr. Fred Palmer, editor of the Peel Guardian, she calls it, it's actually the Peel City Guardian, to his sister, Miss Emily Palmer, to Mr. and Mrs. Harry Clark, and to all my many friends at home and abroad who've encouraged me to continue with my writing. At the time of publication, she was living at Thornfield, Derby Road in Peel. There's also a foreword in the book to the collection by Harold S. Kane, MHK, President of the World Manx Association. In addition to her own work in the booklet, Barbara Cowley includes 5 poems by her son, David Marno, and 3 by her sister Marjorie Robinson. So that means there are 12 pieces of her own work in this collection. As I mentioned, I've also come across some other pieces of her poetry in editions of the Peel City Guardian. I think it was 1963. Aber na rawed cwn siens jen verliach tai, creu ynachu. Ynnen gedden gau glish ona, as coregus an over the fickle a glas mahan. As na meuren shied, ynnachad korstjach sen na jinnach? Had jinnach het de rauw visok de rauwe dunje gul felius yn ach kiaurt? Esh, jiche orm chud jeans as yn ach lore. Ga nel doet weg ach kunchens yn elide as credu a versi bel kunchens maie gan elide na ferulk. Gyn aurust an a meuren shied de jaru denia gian as achtel, creho achtel, ons tigel karele chri, de vel het burre het heen ons liede chush. Ga nee, machara Jonathan, ma vissu gold de roil de glas, je giet tai vollem und shoh sa lunnenet, no ons uit valier bies a tail. As ma vissu ginu is an ach tal jit na ridden gulle ginu de kiaurt, as ege tre tal jit na ridden gulle ginu de kiaurt, ga gin per korsjachort. Now, this is a song performed by Tony Truscott of the Cornish Songwriters, written for their project about Cornwall's maritime heritage. This one is called Old Timer.
I see the summer setting as seagulls come to shore. The seas roll from the Atlantic, out here the combers roar. And as I sit I wonder, my man first went to sea. And as the sun goes westward, the answer lies in me. Each summer night I sit here and watch the ships below, leaving Falmouth Harbour, mooring in the roads. For 20 years I've watched the view, since last I went to sea. As master of the compass rolls, Falmouth packet free. Many's the hopeful miner I've taken from these shores. Far from wife or family, I've taken them on board to earn their living honestly, digging beneath the ground. And many's the broken miner I brought back to Falmouth town. I've seen the storms round Hatteras, Dutch dice round called Cape Horn. As clippers on the Hughley, so Hobart in the morn. I've sailed my ships all o'er the world, seen sights I'll never forget. But Carrick Road at sundown is to me much finer yet.
Cornish singer-songwriter Tony Truscott accompanying himself on guitar, and we heard the clarinet of Hilary Coleman, and that was Tony Truscott's song Old Timer. Tamir leid je dunje ser as vir taich o brouweg ons lonin, as renne gols on meechen a taure gus an elvish, as renne corfo glas a taiega. Ren merliach chit, as renne brisje onjega ge chow chulu je, as renne cost na stiach on. Esh, renne gol as renne corna shutter and fajli take a chow vilu je, as renne shul mach as stiach a doris toshi, rosh ear chulin na mern she. Esh vakant as a tai, as renne salshin in an erahon, as renne troggle sus fogre moor, as tret an lai chit, te krek ljoris kante de wuzzel, ulju en chud jane Danielia van shaludaji, Esh te golgus trogader, as te krek de a tai shen, as te ginu regis de veli liegale, as goiler sul ulju chaustai tre erlie. As ten ameren she had, as na luchten rail elia, kuna les huishes tadable. As tred en sheludut shen chit back vina len ser eges en elvish, te fedden weg ach tall follamson in it van taiega. And the next poem in the book is by Barbara Cowley's son, David Marno, so we'll go on for the time being to one of her own pieces, and she tells us that this was written at Belig Bridge, June 1965. And from what she says in it about a joyous night, presumably she'd gone out to Belig Bridge for an evening practice session. This is called The TT Riders. Roaring and screaming down the road you come, hell-bent on riding faster, faster yet. Lost to the wonder of this joyous night, you add your speed and noise to this world's fret. Just now, I heard a blackbird's tender song, but it was still as round the bend you roared. The smell of lilacs lingered as you passed, until your fumes on it and us were poured. Like spacemen from another world you dress, landing each spring and autumn with a smile. We know you feel the impact and the stress of speed will help and benefit this isle, but even as you homeward sail once more, some island magic in your heart you store. Back in the island recently for Shanach's Stew was Kaz Doherty, and here she is accompanied by Paul Rogers on guitar as she sings Berling Gori Chroven.
Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Heo sa hoven. Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Balin Gori Crovan, Kiaurt en sling na lachleni, Hinklen Rigus manin, Ted the moor en Frenia roi, Balin Gori Crovan, Dad na ton en Hegel gay, Gowan skimmy eye, Ach for furthest tennis on, High in read studer, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Heo sa hoven, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Balin Gori Crovan, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Heo sa hoven, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Balin Gori Crovan, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Heo sa hoven, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Balin Gori Crovan, Picadilly and pool, show me askus manin, inly matter on and droig, Balin Gori Crovan, rocket says and show mommy, hum imagine tabby, Gael fully and a king, cosmic kiaull na hera, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Heo sa hoven, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Balin Gori Crovan, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Heo sa hoven, Oh, Vans na hoven, oh, Balin Gori Crovan. Balliarums a high, Berlin Gory Crovan, Julia one year a try, Hank to Alta Gory, Cheek at Edmo Gory Haste, Chris Mugasatunya, Cowra Den and Manany, Rail to Scotty Crovan, oh, Van Sahovan, oh, Hirio Sahovan, oh, Van Sahovan, oh, Berlin Gory Crovan, oh, Van Sahovan, oh, Hirio Sahovan, oh, Van Sahovan, oh, Berlin Gory Crovan. Oh, Van Sahovan, oh, Hirio Sahovan, oh, Van Sahovan, oh, Berlin Gory Crovan.
Christina Doherty, back in the island briefly from Scotland, and there she sang the Manx version of a song from the Scottish Gaelic tradition, Berling Gorry Crovan, about Gorry Crovan sailing from Islay into Ramsey Bay. Of course, the Gaelic original has King Gorry sailing the other way. The Berling Gorry Crovan is leaving the Isle of Man and sailing back to Islay. Now, Barbara Cowley's next poem is called Jingle, and underneath the title she says she wrote this on returning from a London holiday. There are 5 verses altogether, and we'll hear the first 3 of them now, and we'll come back to the final verses and on. So, Jingle on returning from a London holiday. I'm sitting in my garden, and I'm gazing at the hills, and I'm thinking of the tranquilizers, medicines and pills that unfortunates must take each day to minimise life's ills. Oh, I'm thankful that I live right here in Peel. What with traffic jams and factories and strikes with all their pest, it's no wonder that the visitors come over for a rest. How they all enjoy the peacefulness, the beauty and the zest. Oh, I'm thankful that I live right here in Peel. You can keep your London traffic, your new motorways and all, your striptease clubs and your bunny girls, skyscrapers looming tall. If they suit you, they don't suit me. And I'm sure they'll soon appall. Oh, how glad I am that I live here in Peel. For sure, all you gint en règle, a synover ein bimage en règle nis. Cha gin much gull cha morge de gin na mur and shears, oxen and tre shenta ho beg de smunion gian de weirid quech. Ach nimmage gull look jairach lag tre te imedy on, as vech liet na ridden gullagino de bergshin de jaru shaluter in the tie. Cha dod mi ach fagen creu cha kiaurt mor vei as hek mi chresteel edin mina de vei lagich mor de berg tresh ons korl chamai. Hi Van Helsing Choleers tashin chows dai jane taishen, fuddy de gin much fedden tulliu lieden. Chor be fuddy pergin tanachten on shen, chousten a firelia fedden de boelelia on out a kistenelia de oer, ons Burbrensey is mile end. Hias and charn godalming soes. Fodum vei jay imid on shoh dorte, nim co chilgram den skimiem, de rege kabel ons na boel beard na skooie. A Breton band who came to Chroniach a few years ago, that was Esquisse, playing music for a Breton round dance associated with the commune of Ludieg. Ludieg is very much right in the middle of Brittany. Frenetic as the music was, the dance is actually quite slow. That was Esquisse. Siodiw stasiwn yn asiwn y sien the jarw radio banning. As she Claare na Gael vis reclashen, mish Robert Cudin Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Nishesh Machian Chara Dort Morris. She I fi via de yino de chuljurid erlu, al de Welschen gierigul moon kabel. Ach, na velu smunnion de jinnach verge in a carriage and storm edlish, na cummach and heraldach egger, ons volgrijd ons Walworth na Mile End, tarn rauwer gales on the Ornine. Deji and dow de lizig shin gul ons cappen, tret as shin gul me jas na shar, as eer vergeled bol enjach fagest na boonus te fine gul. Tamme chara Quincy Cheayrt dort nolu, tan kiaull egger na te slaigre, Gyrach rish oer na crunje. Stoli tan rid ta shin golda yunu, as chanel shin giri slayer be gian oren, ma vis shen mor be. Va sim eg mina bishacher de chuljurid, as va mi gold taatnius fagen dra prees na kushen, koenelje de jerud rish tamelt, tachert de naglachten hei. Vi 4 eer glas. Bunnes gurish scan. And we carry on with Barbara Cowley's poem, Jingle. There are glorious parts of Britain stretching up and down the land. Think of eastern shores of Yorkshire with their firm and golden sand. But the miles of cars and coaches are a nightmare out of hand. Oh, how glad I am that I live here in Peel. So the Irish and the English and the Welsh and Scots forby, and the folk who went abroad in youth but come back home for aye, yes, they all love Ellen Vanning with a tear in their eye, but especially those who come back here, to Peel. And here's another short piece, The Walls of Man. How endlessly they stretch, the walls of man. They edge the purple moors, the craggy paths, placed stone on stone by hardy men of yore. I see them reaching out like pleading arms into eternity. They climb and run and hurry over mountain, hill and glen. Who said, "Go build these walls"? Who planned their path? How many men, how many stones were laid? How many centuries will they march on, after I'm dead and gone? Now, Scottish group Run Rig is no more, sadly, after many successful years together, and this was one of their most popular songs, Annual Surger, the highest apple. Runrig and their song Anul Surger. And now two short poems from Barbara Cowley. The first one is called Orry. Gazing at me from his lordly throne with loving amber eyes, loyal and true he walks alone. Orry, the king, the aristocrat. Orry, our cat. From which far shore did his forebears stray over the sea to man? Was it from China or Mandalay? Homeless and tailless, came many a mile here to our isle. Stretching himself with an elegant grace, safe by my side he rests. Superlative Orry, please nevermore roam to faraway places across the foam. Stay here, at home. And this one, next one, is not particular to Peel or to home. It's in fact called Birthday Reflections. Suddenly, fleetingly, youth has departed. So much is left to do, so much unstarted. Middle years fly away. Weeks skim like hours. Don't let one petal fall. Time fades like flowers. Verses are left unwrote, pictures unpainted, sculptures unchiselled lie, stone rests untainted. Make of what's left the best life has to offer. Love, friendship, sweet content, filling life's coffer. Ve gesjangd around the mail en ek tarnet farslich for terspin en a fieglen ek began bachtel. Remmig im reien rids Jerry Shaw, al de jinnige corgi pien gin fame. Ach, huggi me oel genachten Mario ons me chuslenen, smunjen na hagerish Lucy Bach, lukt den goud jol en oelek. Goud Shaw gerau courage in a fieglen chit de veen a skibby, ach gerau ach gier forsten van tre, as we tre de royal aal roche. Tre henksjen gus a cholortus an oordach son na eben, as Jane ach de scalia marchen heen, na oren nos on jou higeres. Ve cordit verjere roche met jinnachsjen goil toyach de golgus Picadilly, de jinnach sin strail jacht de count for fagestun. De jinnach I feathen mache rolia, weg sin mar so fos ve rosh san overein, je tort mau. As fuddy de jinnach a fenishegge ons weggach en kummer korboilegge, as treve sanduna, cordon li denjach no. Now a young woman expects a young man to come along and knock on the blue glass, a gwydder glass, in the Welsh song by Ninebach. Gwydder Glass, the Blue Glass, and that was Welsh band Ninebach, and they were here from Crunech a few years ago. Benton de Scalia Marchen heen, ve na chorlachel originalú, de liesach shinulju, lug a cheayrt gus Carfax, golstjach sa ons Picadilly. De liesach en de lie is mish tannachten ons Shen, gauw jinnach en charn godalming as Quincy, feather na liachten ons Walworth as Mile End, a striad. Well, we'll have a look again at the poetry of Barbara Cowley in More Poems of Man and other poems of hers printed in the Peel City Guardian in 1963, perhaps collected earlier and issued as Poems of Man. We'll also come back to the poems of her son and her sister from this collection, More Poems of Man, from 1965. Ach, tan treir jit, mod dot and walrus, the laughter imedini, and that brings us to the end of Claare Gael this time. Chris Pearson is waiting in the wings to bring you 2 hours of the best chill-out music for your Sunday evening from 7 to 9, and then at 9 we welcome Judith Lay with Sundown. We close Claare Gael with more traditional music from Ireland with Dylan Carlos, Kin Sweeney and John McCARTIN. As Sinead, as Masaw, until the next time then, this is Robert Cutting-Garswell, Robert a Carslach.
Oh, Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night, Eve. I'm a Chrieriu, as Orserlier, as my Yiri and Shadi William.